In a future era when primarchs are returning and chaos imperversing. In a era when life and death are of no value, and only war exists. Here comes deynonmod.
Welcome back on deynonmod. Today I want to propose you the review of the FAQ of the 2 of July of the 2017 of the Dark Imperium 8th edition Warhammer 40k of Games Workshop. My intention is the one that this will be the only video. My intention is doing the review of the FAQ of the general rules, because soon there will be the release of the new codex, so I'm not so sure that it's good to make also videos about the other FAQs, because soon for some of the FAQ it will be obsolete, because they will be integrated in the new codex, so the FAQs about the index in this case will be no more available, no more affordable. So I think that it's so. But anyway, if you are interested in having also the review of the other facts of the index, I invite you to comment under here, so to make me know if you are interested. I make also videos about them. We can start from the errata. The first is about the close combat weapons, that in the case that it's not written for the basic close combat weapon, the AP is 0, so it's referred that it doesn't have a VP. About the second one, it's about narrative campaigns, narrative battles, so this is something that it should be read if you are playing them. As the one that it's about the third errata, but the one that it's important, it's the fourth errata, that specify that the model that is set up when you deploy your army has to be completely inside your deployment zone. Why this? Because otherwise someone can think that it's only a part of the model that can be inside, and it means that you can, for example, with vehicles, with monsters and so on, have quite a lot of space over, so you gain inches, reducing the distance from your enemy. So this is quite important. It was quite a bit obvious, but it's better that it's indicated. Then we have one important thing that it's missing from the using tactical objectives, and it's important because it refers how it's the range, how much is the range that it involves the units that can have the role of keeping the object. So it's quite important. Then we have the battle for roll slots, and here it's a bit I don't know, sincerely I think that it's a bit obvious, but anyway it's good that it's specified. Then we continue with the part about understrength units. Here it lets you know that you can play also with the power points, power ratings, with even only one model, but you have to pay anyway the minimal amount, and it will occupy the detachment slots if you are using them. So it's a bit used. I think that it was understandable even before, but anyway it's okay that there is. About the woods, only a word that it's actually, I don't know if it's quite useful, such a FAQ, but anyway there is, but I don't find quite a lot of changing saying it. What changed instead it's the ruins, that one specify that there is also cavalry. The second is that the keyword from bikes changing bikers. That it's quite a good thing that you have to remember. About the second part of this FAQ, again, as in the woods, it changed only a word, but again I don't see quite a lot of useful. So anyway, there is, but I don't find it quite useful, only it. Instead, the grid changing in this next one, that it's gathers, it's the referring that it change from models to units. Why does it change so much? Because from models, it means that before you could have assigned the wounds also only to the models that were in cover, because it referred to models. It means that you could have a better saving throwing and then save the others. Now it's referred to units, so only if the unit is considered gaining the cover, you had the cover to all the model. And it's, believe me, a really great changing, because before you could have used the models, so assigned to the right models, you could have made it. Now it refers to the unit, so it's the complete block, the complete unit that it's the main thing. So it's a big change in this one. Here there is another big change in the barricades. From infantry model within 1 inch of a barricade and behind it, from the point of view of the fire unit receive the benefit of the cover, we change in when a model targets an enemy infantry unit that has all of its model within 1 inch of a barricade, the target unit receives the benefit of cover if the attacking model is closer to the barricade than it's to the target. This means that the opponent receives the cover if the attacking unit is closer to the barricade than the attacking unit, but so in some way you receive always the cover. Okay. What changed in the Imperial statuettes is a similar thing to the craters. Now what changed is not referring again anymore to the units, to the models, but to the units. What does it mean? Again, that before you could have assigned wounds to the covered models and so saving them using better saving throwing. But anyway, not all the unit has to be covered by it. Now it depends from the unit, so it's a big change about it. Then there is a clarification, a little modifying about the deployment in the stronghold assault. Then there are again some changes in the deployment from the Death from the Sky scenario and the multi-battle scenario 2. So I don't explain them because I think that these are interesting in a really small amount of people, and if they are interesting they can see it by themselves. Then we start with the facts, the general questions. Here I think that some of these are quite useless. I don't know how someone can have doubts about some things that are said here, but okay, we take them. Okay. The first is about what does within 1 inch, and it refers also answering that the 1 inch itself is included. I think that it's obvious, but okay, sincerely, okay. And the next one is even sillier, because the difference between within and completely within, but sincerely you have answers before, so it's logical to think that if it's within, it's even a part, but wholly within, it's completely inside within that range. But anyway, okay, it's better that there is such referring, not a problem about it, but anyway strange. The next one, I think that it's a bit more interesting. Okay, it's a bit strange the part, because obviously if you are there is the rule that it refers that the characters can't be taken as target if they are not the closest, but it's only in the shooting. So, and anyway there is the rule that say that the player to decide which one apply before. So anyway you can anyway choose, but anyway it's better that it's referred. Then there is the fact that I sincerely think that it's obvious that it works. So obviously you can't deploy part of the unit or more part of the unit, then move another one and then come back to it. Anyway, okay, it's good that there is, so no one can have doubts about it. But anyway, it's in the rules itself that you start with the unit, you finish that unit doing, and then you move to the other one. So in the rules itself, it's so. I don't understand why someone should have doubts about it, but anyway, better that there is. One that it's about characters that can be taken as target with the Overwatch, if even are not the closest one. Okay, but it's not a shooting phase, so the shooting phase rules apply only in the shooting phase. So it could be anyway been able to shooting as Overwatch, because you are not in the shooting phase but in the charge phase, so it should not be problem about it. But anyway, good that there is. The next one that someone asked about rerolling after you've seen the results of the other ones. Fruits, sincerely, I think that it's completely crazy. But anyway, if someone arrived to ask doubts about it, I think that it's good that there is such a fact, even if I think why one should think otherwise. There is something that changed quite a lot. One thing that it's used from some generation of rules that of the previous editions. Why? Because again, it refers to the errata that I said about before, that it's not referring to the models but to the units. So this is really interesting and really changing thing about referring. But it refers that the wood doesn't give cover if it's only in the middle and you have not the models inside or on the woods. So it changed quite a lot the interaction between models and the other ones, and moreover between the Shenix. Because now to add the cover you have to be inside the model, and also to add the cover, so to be the have to the line of sight of the model covered through the woods to the opponent targeting unit. So in a way it's a really great change, because now the woods that are only in the middle but you are not inside doesn't give cover, so it's a complete change of before. The next one I don't understand quite good, because it's referring to the Terminators as an example, and they are said that they arrive from the reserve at the end of the movement phase, so I don't understand why to repeat this. They arrive from the reserve, so it's referred how they arrive and when. Anyway, okay, good that there is anyway. About instead the next one, it's quite interesting, because it's referring to the mods that are added to the unit. For example, someone that come back from being killed and so on. But it refers to the fact that they have to be at more than 1 inch from an opponent enemy. And it's quite interesting, because it means that if the unit is in close combat, the model can't come in combat, because they have to be at more than 1 inch from the enemy. You have the cohesion of 2 inches, so it's not a problem to recover them. But anyway, it's really important, because the unit can't come directly in combat, so you can't use the models that are died and you come back and you make come back to make the unit advance in the close combat and take other models and so on in combat. It's really interesting, this thing. Moreover, because you have to think that, okay, you can also recover mod in some cases, in other phases. But anyway, you have to be subject to the fact that you don't have to be at less than 1 inch from the enemy. So it means that if you are in some situation that have, for example, cycling models, enemy models to the unit, it's quite important, the relation about it. So it's quite an interesting fact, this one, really interesting. Then there are the facts about the transports. Here, the first one, I don't think that it's quite interesting, but anyway, about dedicated transports, someone that has played the editions before this one, I think that doesn't think that it's quite useful. But for someone that start playing, anyway, the specification, this fact can be quite useful to understand the meaning of this type of vehicles. And then there are the part about how the units that disembark from a transport that has been destroyed happen. Here it's quite interesting. Why? Because before, okay, it talk about the explodes ability of the vehicles. Okay. Anyway, then declare how it works in um, really playing things, how doing things. And one thing that you can note is that contrary what I said before in the part, contrary to the part that I said before in the part about the transport in the special rules, okay, now it specifies that you have to roll the die, the d6 about the wounds that you can suffer and so on, and then the one. Okay, what change is that you decide which model will die with the ones on the dice, and it changed quite a lot because you can prevent that the special weapons, the EV weapons, the surgeons and so on can be safe. So you can decide which model can destroy, and it's quite interesting. The part is about the fact that the units that inside doesn't suffer the explode result, I think that it was used, but anyway, it's good that there is. But what is more interesting is the fact that the destroyed transport it's removed after the disembarking. Why does it change? Because before, in the editions before, the most part of the times you had to take away the model and then can put instead of the model the models that were inside the model itself. So you could, if the transport was wrecked by the combat, if the model of the transport was surrounded by the enemies, the unit inside can be safe. Now instead there is quite a big change, cause the model that are inside, if the transport is surrounded, risk not to be able to disembark and so to be destroyed because the model is removed after the disembarking. So it's really interesting about this one because it changed quite a lot the relationship between the model inside the transport and the combat with the transport, because it's completely different now how it works. So it's really interesting. We can then move to the units and weapon abilities facts. Here there are quite interesting ones. For example, one is that enemy units that can target units that are out of the line of sight, for example mortar son, for example the whirlwinds, can not target characters that are obviously under the 9 wounds, even if they are not the closest models. Why does it change? Because if you don't understand, it means that the characters that are beside or um, in the behind the lines, they can never be targeted. So you have to use some like the uh, shooting guns check-ins and so on. So the snipers to have the ability to target the characters otherwise. And it's quite important change because it changes the relationship that you can have to the characters. The characters are not targetable, if not the closest, or if not the, how can I say, if not with special rules about. It's really quite changeable as a thing. Then there is the specification that the same abilities can stack on the other one, and it's important thing. If you think, for example, the Blood Angel, Novice Sanguinary Priest, and so on, they can also add a bonus of +1 to the strength, so you can't add more of it, and it's really interesting, this one. Okay, for the Blood Angels it's specified in their facts that you can't, but anyway, it's a general one, so it's an important fact about this type of ability rules, really a lot. Thing that changed quite a lot instead is the about smoke launchers. In the editions before these ones, usually you shoot or you use the smoke launcher, but if for some reason you wasn't able to shoot, you wasn't able to also use the smoke launcher. Now instead it specified that it doesn't mind that you run, that you advanced, that you whirl, everything, falling back and so on. You can anyway use the smoke launchers. The thing that it's important as is that you had not shoot, not the reason why you didn't shoot, and this it's quite important for the transports that has such rule, because it changes really a lot how to behave. Then there is another really important and interesting fact, that it's about that wounds that come with mortal wounds added but do also the normal damage. If you prevent the normal damage, you don't prevent the mortal wound. Remember, the mortal wound is on the rolling, not on the rolling hit, not on the rolling wound. So it's an important thing. But moreover, what it's important, it's the fact that the normal wound are applied before the applying of the mortal wound. It means that if you have, for example, a wound that makes 2 damage and the mod has yet 1 wound, and the mod has 2 wounds as total, you do the normal damage that is 2, lose 1 of the wounds, and then you start with the mortal wound. But also in another sense, if the model has 2 wounds, you do 2 damage, you kill the model, and then you start with the mortal wound. So it changed quite a lot. Moreover, the weapon that it's referring, it's about a single model. But if it's about a unit with more models, it changed quite a lot how to behave in this case. So it's not so bad about it. The next fact, it's quite interesting because it's referring to the models that can make combat 2 times in a row, and it specified that if you are charged, you can do the second time before the other units. So it's not that you charge, you combat, and then the second time it's another type, and it counts as not having charged, but it's counting as having charged again. So it's really interesting. It's a fact to really take consideration about, and it's wow, it's quite important, this one. Moreover, the examples that are done are quite exhaustive, so I invite you to read, because it can really explain better, but moreover it can have quite a lot of impact on your way to play some units. Then, if before we talked about combat, that it's done twice, then there is about shooting twice, and here it's specified that you can fire to different units. But what you have to remember is that each model of the unit can fire to different units, because it's another shooting. So it's as the same unit has two different shooting phase in the same turn. So it's really important, this rule about how to behave in this case, because it changes also the amount of targets that you can have, and also to suppress, so you can before seeing how the previous shooting has been done and then do the second one, so adapting the shooting of the unit to the result of the previous. It's not something to make laugh about. It's really interesting, this rule. The next one, maybe it's a bit funny, but it's important, because the chain weapons can be used to have two more attacks instead of one. And okay, you have only to use them, but it's important because it makes useful to use that weapon twice again. And it's really, it may be a bit crazy, but for combat units it can be changed quite a lot, the result in the combat, because you have one more attack. Okay, usually you have a VP 0, but the amount of attack really amount much more as amount of total attacks. And then there is the fact about the distinguished resilience that can save also mortal wounds. It seems one of the few that allows to save the mortal wounds, so you have to remember this fact if you had such a rule. Anyway, it's interesting. Okay, give it as done. From deynonmod, it's everything. I invite you to put a like on this video, to subscribe to the channel, to ring the bell, and to comment this video if you are interested in something about this video or you want to suggest me some arguments for other videos. I hope to see you again to the next time.